There you go.
Hi, welcome to my garden. It's the end of the season, so we've picked most of the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the peppers and the eggplants. But there's still a few things that I can get for today's meal. We have some beautiful parsley. Actually, I was so lucky, most of this parsley seeded itself. This is Italian parsley, and we'll use this to flavor our dish today. And I also have some wonderful basil. The basil was abundant this year. It's getting close to the end. I'm going to pick some basil for our dish. So we just came in from the garden and we brought in that beautiful basil and parsley. And I thought today we'd make a really simple tomato sauce, just really focusing on the fresh ingredients from the garden. You can see here that I've got approximately 8 cups of chopped cherry tomatoes. This is the time of year where we start worrying about frost where I live, and so we've taken all the tomatoes off the vine, and these tomatoes have been spread out in our basement for the last couple weeks, slowly ripening. But the thing is, we have a lot of cherry tomatoes. So you could easily substitute tins of diced tomatoes or whatever you've got on hand, but today I'm going to be working with the fresh tomatoes. So that's going to come a little bit later. Right now we're going to start with our aromatics. So that's our garlic and onions. First we have to have a somewhat generous amount of olive oil in our pan. Let that heat over gentle heat. I wouldn't put it over medium heat or anything that's going to burn or brown. We just want to heat the aromatics so that we really smell the aroma. Then we're going to make sure that we've chopped everything up. I've taken 1 onion, chopped and peeled it and chopped it. It's a rough chop. In our house, we like a really smooth pasta sauce or tomato sauce, so everything's going to go in the blender at the end. So after the oil is warmed a little bit, I'm going to add the onions. And then while the onions get started, I'm going to show you how I do garlic. I don't use my garlic press when I'm doing this kind of stuff anymore. Before I get down to the garlic though, I'm going to add generous amounts of salt to season the onions. It's a little trick that I learned from some of my Italian cooking friends, that when you add a little bit of salt to the onions as they warm in the olive oil, it draws out a bit more of the sugars. Your onions caramelize a little bit better. So you just put the lid on that, let the onions get started, and I want to show you what I'm doing with the garlic. So I've got some beautiful local garlic here. I like to buy the garlic in the fall from the farmers markets. I used to grow my own. I got to get back to that. And it's just really, really full of flavor. So I'm just going to take the top hard end off there so that I'm left with an individual clove. And rather than putting it through a garlic press, because I used to do that all the time, and then again some of my Italian cooking friends educated me that when you chop and press garlic like that, you can activate some of the more acrid compounds of the garlic. To make it sweet and just a beautiful aromatic, all we have to do is take the side of the knife, and you could grab a bigger knife, which I can do. Take the side of a knife and just give it a little push. And that's going to help make it so that it's really easy to peel off the skin, easy peasy, and then just a really rough chop. So you can see there that I haven't done really fine, because remember, I'm going to put all of this into the blender when we're done. I'm going to finish chopping my garlic, and I'll add it to the pot along with the onions, and I'm going to let that saute over low to medium heat, so it's just gently talking to me. There's no big spattering or any browning going on. I'm going to add the garlic in with the onions and let it go for about 10 minutes. One more thing that I'll add while we're in this aromatic stage is just a few hot pepper flakes, red pepper flakes. You may want to add more. The more south you are cooking, I notice my Italian friends, the more south in Italy they're from, the more pepper flakes they add. I'm still getting used to the heat of it all, so with my northern palate, so I just add a little, I don't even know if that would be 1/8 of a teaspoon. The reason we add the pepper flakes along with the aromatics is it takes the oil to really release the volatile compounds in the peppers. So I'm going to finish doing my garlic, add them to the onions, and I'll see you in a few minutes to show you adding the tomatoes. So here we are. You can see how beautiful the onions and the garlic, they've just picked up a tiny little bit of caramelization, and they're ready for us to add the tomatoes. So I have drained these tomatoes, taken off any obvious water. I'm just going to put them right into the pot the way they are. Check my seasoning a little bit. So see, it's a really simple sauce. We're at 4 ingredients now. Check my seasonings, cover them up, and let them cook down for maybe another 20 minutes to half an hour. So my sauce has been simmering for about 15 to 20 minutes. The kitchen smells amazing. And here comes the fun part. We want to try to get this into there. So to do the blender. So I'm going to take this and put this right in my sink. And because I'm live on camera, let's see how we do. I'm going to get myself a couple pot holders just to kind of save my hands. It's not supposed to be heating on the handles, but you never know. Here we go. Tipping the sauce, you can see the tomatoes have cooked down beautifully. Some of the moisture is rendered out. I'm not doing too badly, but I don't want to jinx it. There we go. There we go. I'll just grab those last few little bits so that we get a nice smooth sauce. I'm going to now process this in the blender along with my fresh herbs that I picked from the garden a little bit ago. So that can just wait for a minute because I'm going to put the sauce right back in there. So here I've got my beautiful tomatoes all ready to go. I've got my parsley. I'm not even going to worry, this is a really good blender. I don't have to chop this or anything, I just washed it from the garden. So a handful of parsley and a handful, oh, there's one basil leaf, it's not that nice. Handful of basil leaves. I'm going to process that until it's smooth, taste it for seasoning, and then I'm going to put it back in the pan. I'll show you the whole thing when it's done. So we've processed the sauce. It's still got some chunks of herbs in it and that sort of thing. It's not perfectly silky smooth, but it's going to be more to most people's palates rather than just all the chunky vegetables. Again, it's a bit of a challenge to get it back into the pot without a lot of splattering and spilling. So I'll do my best and get the last little bit of goodness out from my blender. And check it for seasoning. And then let it simmer. It's pretty much cooked. I mean, you could definitely use it now, but I'm not ready to quite eat yet. So it would be nice to let this cook down a little bit more. Just gotta check my seasoning. It is so fresh. There is such a hit of tomato and the fresh herbs. I don't want to cook it too long, because I want those fresh herbs to still retain their brightness. I'm going to just eat it right out of the pot, you know what I'm saying? I really think the seasoning is okay. At this point, what you could do is you could plop in your meatballs. Again, my Italian friends tell me the best way to cook meatballs is let the sauce come to a slow, gentle simmer, plop the meatballs in a single layer, cover it, wait 20 to 30 minutes until your meatballs are cooked through. That way your meatballs stay nice and round and tender. I am going to serve this over some cheese tortellini. So you have a wonderful day and try this really simple tomato sauce and really enjoy mangiare.